The 5,000-year-old ruler gets a facelift. This is Joe. When Joe built Habitat homes with his youth build students, he learned two things. First, his Department of Labor mentor warned that the most essential tool, the tape measure, would be the hardest for his students to master. Second, his students taught him that a tape is hard to read because it doesn't make sense. Why is the third of the four lines at this height not three-fourths? A legitimate question from a student. It was also thought but not spoken by the Habitat volunteers who avoid holding the smart end of the tape. The problem with tapes is they're Morse code like lines that only give us information through long and short dashes. Since thin, one dimensional markings are the problem, adding wide, two dimensional markings seem to be the logical solution. The bottom section of the lines remain thin to mark precise points. But when the sections of lines at the traditional height of eighths and halves were widened, something unexpected happened. The chaotic jumble of lines clicked into four neat rows sorted by denominators. First, it organized the jumble of lines into four neat rows sorted by denominators. In each inch, the 16 short lines on the bottom are sixteenths. The row of 8 squares are eighths. The row of 4 lines are, you guessed it, fourths. And the 2 squares at the top are the 2 halves of the whole inch. Those 8 squares show you in an instant that they are eighths. You can count along them over your numerator, all on the same level by ones. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, and so on, which strangely you can't do on typical tape. Features of the 2D tape measure. Fraction markings are neatly organized in rows by denominator. Denominators are grouped by their symbols. The number of symbols in each row gives you the name of the denominator. You can count to your numerator along an even row by ones. You just taught a friend to read tape. The markings are easier to see in dim light, and there are color coded arrows for standard locations of joists, studs, and rafters. With wide 2D markings, framers set back locations for spacing on 16-inch centers are color coded with red arrows to show where the edge of studs, joists, and rafters go. The body of studs, joists, and rafters sits on the red inch numerals of 16, 32, and so on. For 2-foot spacing, the arrows and the numerals for feet are hollow. Your supporters love you for being innovative and improving lives. They will brag about being on this cutting edge design with you. These tapes will soon be available on Kickstarter. Email me at 2dtapes@gmail.com for updates. The small print. This patent pending tape will be made by a company that's been in business in America for over 100 years. The difference between our tape and their bestseller is that the casing will say 2D and our new design will be printed on the tape's blade. There seems to be no tapes totally made in America anymore, so while we will be getting a time tested tape measure, it will take about 4 months to have them made and shipped. The minimum any manufacturer will make is 5,000 tapes, but there are over 1,000 Habitat affiliates in the US. Each probably replaces at least 5 tapes every year, so this challenge is possible. People on your job site using your easy to learn tape will come away having mastered the hardest tool. Those people will become your ardent supporters. Joe spent 5 years drawing probably 1,000 designs until he found one that works. Here's an old Facebook posting that shows his motivation. My students in Youth Build, who are all high school dropouts from the poor sections of Durham, have to take a very difficult test on construction math. The test then goes into their file in my office. At 2 different times yesterday, I had students who passed come back to me and ask to see their test. They wanted to take a picture to show their mothers. Your help in bringing this easy to read tape measure to market will mean the difference between a life of menial jobs or fulfilling career for many young people.